believe ECU? Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
East Carolina basketball opens its season with a victory, and we're 3 days out from ECU football taking on Charlotte for homecoming. New helmets revealed. The throwbacks are officially out. We'll comment on that and much more. We'll visit with Kevin Monroe. We'll get a Charlotte insider perspective from Hunter Bailey from the Charlotte Observer. Busy hour ahead. The comments section are open on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Our shows, as always, are podcasted as well on the IBX Media app, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you've got a question, a comment, a concern, drop it in the chat. We'll do our best to get to it on this busy show. Philip Pilkinen, he's back in the 94.3 The Game studios. We'll comment here shortly on our thoughts coming out of the basketball win. But first, got to lead with the big news of the day. The helmet reveal we've heard so much about is officially here. The flying ECU logo, best known from the 1991 Magical Peach Bowl season, where the Pirates finished 9th nationally, will be worn this Saturday inside Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium as part of the homecoming attire. It's already going to be a big weekend, of course, for the Pirates, honoring Hall of Famers Shane Carden, Dwayne Harris, Justin Hardy, along with others. They're going to wear the modern throwback uniforms in addition to the throwback helmets. But, man, I think they look sweet, perfectly done. And I got to give a huge shout-out to the ECU creative media team. I thought the video reveal has Caden Hauser walking into, a vintage classic store, looking through, old clothes, pulling out the jersey, pulling out the pants, and then he says, look at this as he checks out the helmet on a shelf full of hats, full of vintage hats. So I just thought overall extremely well done. Pirates will wear that. And a long time coming. ECU fans have been calling for this throwback for a long time. We've gotten the script helmets back in the rotation. Now we get the flying ECU look, and I think it looks extra sweet. So, Philip, I know you've been running around with some meetings this morning. Don't know if you've had a chance to look at them, but I think it's just going to add to my prediction, I will say, of ECU playing really well this Saturday. I'm expecting a strong performance this weekend.
You and Bobby and your, hey man, listening to Coach Prime.
It's all about the unis, baby.
You feel good, you play good. Yeah, no, these are pretty sweet. We had heard some ramblings that this was happening, and sure enough, here we are. Here it's happened, and man, it's gonna be exciting. But at the end of the day, it's about what you do on the field. I don't care if they're out there in leather helmets. If they go out there and they, kick Charlotte's tail, great. If they don't, bad weekend.
Ryan Bender says graphic team is fire. These helmets are fire. Joel Hancock says North Texas and South Florida both dropped 54 on Charlotte. Carolina held them to 3 points, but we must win 55-2 or worse. Look, just get a win, and if you can make it look pretty along the way, obviously that matters. The Pirates just want to get this win. We'll get more into our thoughts on Charlotte really Thursday and Friday, and we'll get the Charlotte angle here in a minute from Hunter Bailey. But we'll dive into that matchup a whole lot tomorrow, Philip and I will. But just wanted to lead the show with the helmets. Again, excellent job by the creative media team. And it's been a fun year for helmets. You also had the Jolly Roger American flag logo for the Army game, the black script helmets. So it's been a lot of fun and really well done by ECU this time around. All right, let's lead the show after the helmet talk with some Pirate basketball. For the 26th consecutive season, East Carolina is 1-0 in men's basketball. Yep, they've won 26 season openers in a row. Last night was a little bit more tricky, and now it's fair to point out ECU has opened its seasons with a lot of cakewalks. This one wasn't really a cakewalk. Georgia Southern has been down the last few years, but a capable team as far as season openers. You can look across the country. Boise State lost to, I believe, a team called Hawaii Pacific, which is a Division II program. So you never know going into a season opener. ECU wins it 92-89. A lot to unpack here. You had ECU play 9 players. All of them scored. You had a game-high 22 from Jordan Riley and 8 rebounds. He also fouled out. The Pirates scored 92 points despite shooting 4 of 20 from three-point range and missing 15 free throws. They shot 63% from the line. The defense was not very good. They gave up a lot of open threes, got beat in the paint a lot. ECU did score 48 points in the paint. You also had Jay Shane Woodard leave with an injury. You were playing without Travion LeBeau, which I'm hearing is going to be a long-term injury most likely. So you hope Jay Shane doesn't miss too much time. That's a concern for an already pretty thin team. But I don't know, Phil. There's a lot to unpack here from last night's game. And the most important thing, of course, ECU wins it, and you can really build on a win.
You can, and you mentioned some of those stats, and it was kind of an ugly win. Like you said, the defense wasn't great, especially in transition. I thought they were, in position a lot of times. There was a couple missed rotations, but it was kind of game one stuff. I feel like defensively, Coach Schwartz is going to be ticked off about it because he's a defensive minded coach. But overall, I thought in the half court they were solid. I mean, they allowed some. There were some contested threes that just went down too. So. I think that was part of it there, especially early in the second half. Offensively, I mean, you read the numbers there. They were not good, and you still find a way to score almost 90 points. So, with that being said, I think there is some optimism. Again, this team's going to have to shoot the ball better. They're going to maybe have to find a way to have more athleticism going to the basket. The thing was, I thought every offensive set, every guy on the floor knew where he was supposed to be. I thought the ball moved fluently through the hands of the offense, and it did result in some high percentage looks. Now, some of those high percentage looks did not go down very well. With that being said, they did work very hard on the offensive glass, handful of second chance points. So Isaiah and I were talking about it before the show. The things that the team can control, hustle, knowing where to be, finding the right guy, they were good at those things. The things that they can't control as much, how athletic they are, how well they shoot the basketball, they struggled in those, and you're going to have to get better at those to win as many games as they want to win. However, it's only game one, and I would rather that be the issue maybe than guys just looking like lost puppies out there.
I agree. If there's one thing Coach Schwartz, his teams are always going to do, they're going to play extremely hard. They're going to have high effort, high energy, and you can't doubt any of that last night. I do think over time they're going to have to assess, all right, if we want to play big, they may need to slow it down some, because I thought at times, now while Jordan Riley and Corey Calker and some of these guys, Jay Shane when he's healthy, while they're dynamic in transition, I thought it got ECU out of sorts defensively playing that fast as well. And if you're going to play big with 2 6'10" guys on the floor, how sustainable is that? And if Jay Shane's going to miss some time, I think you're going to be half the forced to play big, because I don't think you're deep enough in the backcourt to go super fast and play a bunch of guards. So hopefully Jay Shane's not a long-term injury. ECU did have 35 bench points. How about Reed Kaysen? 14 off the bench, 7 of 8 shooting, 5 rebounds. I thought the best thing I saw from Reed, and look, ECU had a clear size advantage. As we mentioned, Georgia Southern plays fast. They get a lot of shots up. That's their style. But I just thought he looked so smooth, Phillip, catching the ball in the paint, not messing around, no wasted movement, good hands, and just finishing at the rim. And it sounds simple, but how many big men do we see just struggle catching the basketball? They try to dribble too much. They put the ball down low. It gets swatted out. I thought Reed just had great awareness, great hands, and an understanding of, all right, I'm going to use my size to an advantage. And he just looks smooth out there. And it's clear he's made a leap year over year.
He has. And there was, you mentioned what you were saying was when he was well guarded. And you were 100% spot on. But I also thought, now what you mentioned happened on a bigger sample size, but I'm going to applaud Corey Calker here. There was a few baskets where Reed Kaysen was in a position, and it was partially because of the way Reed moved without the ball, and it was also how Corey found him. There was no way to mess it up, even if he wasn't doing those things. There was a few times he caught the ball going to the basket, and all he had to do was go straight up, and I thought the fluidity of the offense from all 5 guys created that. And then to your point too, Stephen, when there was a defender on his back hip, he made one move and he got to the basket. Did he make every shot? No. But he moved to the basket with confidence, and when he missed, a lot of times he got an offensive rebound too, or somebody else flew in. They clashed the glass last night really well offensively. some left to be desired things on the defense side. They let up too many defensive rebounds. Steven from Creative and I were talking about that. He goes, Coach has been hounding them about rebounding in practice. He's going to be ticked off about all these offensive rebounds they're allowing. But to your point, though, very confident in themselves with the ball for the guys on the front court.
All right, people want to know if there's an update on Jay Shane Woodard. At this time, Johnny Gardner, there's not. We asked post-game. Coach Schwartz said he did not have an update. They'll likely get some testing done. Schwartz said he thought he strained something. It looked like he almost, his knee, like hyperextended when he came down. I saw a photo of it that our photographer, Walter Powell, took, and hopefully it's nothing serious. I'd find it hard to believe he would play at Richmond this Saturday, but I'm not going to try and speculate too much on the injuries. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it would be certainly a big loss if he's out for an extended period of time. Chuck wants to know, question for the panel: what did we think of Corey Calker? Poor shooting night, but 5 assists, 2 turnovers. I saw enough from Corey Calker to leave me feeling pretty good. And it's hard to say that for a guy who went 2 of 14 from the floor, but like speed with the ball, understanding of the game, 5 assists, as you mentioned. He just seemed to be largely in control. I will say him and Isaiah Mbang, really Isaiah coming from William & Mary, sophomore, Corey first time playing JUCO or playing at D1 from a JUCO school. Like they looked a little rattled late trying to break the pressure defense. They're going to have to get that ironed out, but you kind of expect some of that stuff, as Philip said, game 1. But I saw enough from Calker. I think he's going to score a lot more. And for ECU to put up 92 points when he only puts up 6, I think is encouraging too, Philip. Like I expect him to be better. Is he going to be elite night in, night out? No, but I expect more from Calker, and I think he'll be fine moving forward.
I do too, and it goes back to what you said, that the game was happening slow enough for his head. He didn't look overwhelmed most of the game. Look, the hoop is still whatever the diameter of the hoop is, and it's still 10 feet off the ground. Like he's been scoring on that level of a hoop since he was 10 years old. He'll find a way to score. Was he able to facilitate and run the offense? That was the question. Against the speed of Division I competition, he did.
All right, any final thoughts, Philip, from you before we get a break in and get to Kevin Monroe? Did anything else really stand out for you?
Again, I just kind of wonder what Coach saw defensively there that wasn't well. I mean, I full disclosure, I got to the game with 2 minutes left in the first half due to the world's longest train and some technical issues. So I didn't see all of it, but I thought the defense was decent, but the scoreboard doesn't really reflect that. Again, I didn't think they were great, especially in transition, but I guess my thing is how do they improve from game 1 to game 2 on that defensive side of the ball? That's really what I want to see.
All right, final thought for me before we get a break in. Sir Cookie Pants says, this is D1 where a lot of money was spent on the roster. We should expect more, at least a capable 3-point shooter. Look, the shooting, it's a concern for me. It was a concern in the preseason. It's still a concern, and I didn't see enough last night to alleviate any of those concerns. 4 of 20 from 3. Honestly, a lot of bad misses, like misses that were open and really were not close to going down. So I do think Vito Perkovic hitting a 3 is encouraging because he can shoot it. You need him to get some confidence. Eli DeLaurier, I think he's going to play more of a role from the perimeter as he plays more. But, yeah, I'm going to have to hit more shots. Calker's a part of that. He went 1 of 7. I think he'll be better than that. But it's a question mark. There's no doubt about it. And Pirates are going to have to do enough from the 3-point land to keep teams honored from that area of the floor going forward. All right, we'll talk more basketball as the week progresses. We'll look ahead to Richmond as well tomorrow, just to kind of preview that game. Let's get a break in. We'll get to Kevin Monroe, talk some football on the other side.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
Welcome back in to Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday, 3 days out from homecoming against Charlotte ECU. In Charlotte, we'll do a battle 3 p.m. inside Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. Let's preview that game and more with our weekly guest, Kevin Monroe, part of the ECU Sports Network. And Kevin, we'll first turn the clock back a little bit to the Temple game. It was 14-14. Things looked a little sketchy. ECU then scores 31 unanswered, wins 45-14, and kind of a statement game of sorts. So what did you make of the Temple game last week?
Yeah, I mean, the Temple game was fun. It was one of those games, finally, where you don't have to sit on the edge of your seat to watch East Carolina play football. You could actually relax a little bit. Now, as you state, they got out to a 14-0 lead, and, even the announcers, were saying that they thought it could be a blowout, and all of a sudden Temple ties it back up, and you're like, okay, here we go again. East Carolina's going to be in a nail-biter. But, man, I attribute it all to that running game. Just the way that, Marlon Gunn Jr. and London Montgomery, TJ Engelman all ran the football was just super impressive. Everybody was over 4 yards a carry easily. TJ Engelman, I think, was around 9 yards a carry. And so it was just, you run the ball for 350 yards. It's going to set the table for you to be able to do anything else you need to do in that game. And that's why Caden Hauser's efficiency was so high, 19 for 24, close to 80% passing. Did have the one turnover, but you're gonna be efficient when you're able to run the football, because now all of a sudden the linebackers have to respect that run game. They can't help in the pass coverage game as much as they were when you couldn't run the ball. And so there was multitude of open receivers. I mean, even Anthony got in the run game with the reverse touchdown, jet sweep touchdown. So I think that running the football kind of set the table for everything. And then conversely, the East Carolina defense just did not allow Temple to get going. They couldn't move the chains. They had several 3-and-outs, and mostly because they couldn't run the football. They also get a turnover from the quarterback who hadn't thrown one all year long. So it was a fun game to watch. I messaged with Coach Harrell after the game, and my message to him was, it's been a while since East Carolina went on the road to play a conference opponent that was a comparable opponent, opponent that was at their level for the most part, and they dominated. And so I was just super excited to see that the guys showed up. They were ready to play from the beginning of the game, and they never let their foot off the gas.
East Carolina, after Temple tied it at 14 all, Kevin, they had a drive. They started it with a pass to Marlon Gunn, and then they ran it 11 straight times, and that culminated with the Mike Wright touchdown. I don't know. It's kind of like old school football, like just line up and run it right at Temple. And to me, that made a huge statement, and obviously that kind of set the tone for the rest of the game because Temple had momentum, and they basically just shoved it down their throats, and Temple couldn't stop them. I thought that took a lot of will out of their sideline. Like, how good was that to see from an offense that we at times think is just kind of a finesse passing offense?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who the back was. I think it was Marlon Gunn was the back on the majority of those carries. But it was it was fun to watch. Listen, you grew up watching football. You'd rather see the passing spread pass happy offense than you would, John Riggins getting the ball and getting 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But when you can just impose your will on a team and say, we're going to run it, we're going to run it, you can't stop it, it will really break their morale. And so you got to be able to do that as well in your offense. And so to see JDB pull that out and be successful with it, because it makes everything so much easier when you can get 3 to 5 yards whenever you want running the football. You have no concerns about opening up your playbook and running other things. So, yeah, I love that drive. I think it was the statement drive of the game, and I think it really did break the will of the Owls.
East Carolina, Charlotte this Saturday is homecoming, Kevin, and I don't know if you've seen the helmet reveal this morning. They're wearing the 1990, early 1990s Peach Bowl era helmets with the flying ECU logo, and I don't know, bringing back some nostalgia with that. I know Pirate fans are pretty jacked up about it. How about yourself?
I haven't seen the reveal, so I have to go look for that. That sounds pretty awesome. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I can just remember, like, the Peach Bowl. So a lot of people don't know this. Everybody thinks I grew up in Greenville, and I did, but it wasn't until 10th grade that I was actually physically living in Greenville. My father was in the Air Force, and so we moved around a bunch as a child. And I can remember we were in Montgomery, Alabama, and my dad was always talking East Carolina because he was an East Carolina grad. And he wanted me to stay in the house instead of going outside with my friends to watch the Peach Bowl game. And I did for the first half. And I was like, Dad, your team is getting spanked. I'm going outside to play with my friends. And I just never forget, like, hearing him yelling and screaming as they were making the comeback, and watching the end of the game with him and being like, okay, all right, they're a little bit better than I thought. And that kind of started my love for East Carolina football. And then we moved to Greenville shortly after. So yeah, anything to bring back the nostalgia of the early 90s is pretty cool. And usually when they do that, it always looks better the second time around. It kind of like the NFL teams are doing the retro looks as well. So it's pretty cool.
No doubt, everything comes full circle. And speaking of that, it'll be 3 ECU football Hall of Famers going in this weekend, Kevin. Shane Carden, Justin Hardy, Dwayne Harris. I mean, we could probably have a whole show on their impact alone on ECU football, but you obviously called a lot of games, watched a lot of these guys play in the purple and gold. Just what stands out about those 3, and feel free to share any stories of those guys.
Yeah, man, listen, I as I said, moved to Greenville around 92, 93, and started watching games, pretty much all the games from then on. And then I've been on the air for this is my 23rd season, going through my playing days and then getting on the air. And so I've seen a lot of Pirates play. And if you put me to the task and said, I need you to pick your favorite Pirate of all time, it'd be Dwayne Harris. I think he's just the most incredible football player. What he could do on the field was unlike anybody else. And you take somebody with the hands like Justin Hardy, or the ability to return punts with the quickness and the lower body strength of a Keith Stokes, and with the explosiveness of not quite a Chris Johnson, but just somebody who could just take off and you weren't going to catch him. That was Dwayne Harris. I mean, he even took some snaps at quarterback. He came in as a quarterback. So he could do it all on the football field, with his ability to get open and catch the football, but also just flip games on their head as a punt and kickoff returner. And he was able to do that in the NFL with the Giants and Cowboys. So Dwayne Harris is my all-time favorite East Carolina Pirate, and so to see him go in is going to be very, very exciting for me. Justin Hardy, I don't know that there's a more complete receiver than Justin Hardy to come in, from right up the road. I think Vanceboro is where he's from, and he, was a walk-on and earned his way. I mean, the life of a walk-on is not the life I would wish on anybody. It's just a tough, tough life because you have to do everything the scholarship players have to do and know that you're never going to get in the game. and then you have to also maybe get a job or do something different because you have to pay for school. And so I can just remember, playing with walk-ons and just feeling sorry for them because they were no different than us. They just didn't really get the same opportunity. So for him to have to go in as a walk-on and prove himself and to become the all-time leading receiver in NCAA history before Zay Jones breaks it is just a story in itself. You can make a movie off of that. But he wasn't very big, right around 6 feet, didn't weigh a whole lot. He wasn't a 4'3" guy, but he got open. He had the biggest hands. 3X, 4X gloves he used to wear. And he would come back to the football like nobody's business and snatch it out of the air and turn upfield for more yak. And so I'm so appreciative that I got a chance to watch him play his whole career because he was just an unbelievable talent. Always caught the football when you needed him to on a big third down. And it was just fun to watch. And then you go to quarterback. Shane Carden, it doesn't get much better than that. We've had a lot of good ones over the years. I don't want to say starting with Jeff Blake. I'll just say under my watch, starting with Jeff Blake, because I didn't see a lot of the quarterbacks prior to him. But from Blake to Crandall to Dan Gonzalez to David Garrard, there's so many good quarterbacks have come through here. James Pinkney. And then, you get into that era of Shane Carden, and right around that same time, it was kind of the air raid and Lincoln Riley and, throwing the football all over the field. He had the opportunity to set all the records, and he did. They ran that offense to perfection. He had really good receivers. He's an accurate quarterback. He threw a good deep ball, and it was just fun to watch him. And no Pirate fan will list out the best games of their ECU Pirate history without saying something about putting 70 on Carolina, and that's Shane Carden, just throwing the ball all over the place and lighting it up. And so those three guys, they couldn't be more deserving. I actually got nominated this year for the Hall of Fame, which was cool in itself. But knowing that those three guys were chosen, I promise you I don't need to go in before any one of the three. And so it's fun for me to think back to the days that they played ball here and all the things that they were able to do.
No doubt, three of the best Pirates all time going in together. Going to be a pretty awesome weekend. All right, final question for you, Kevin. It'll be Charlotte this weekend. And look, I asked Blake Carroll on Monday during his press conference, last year against Charlotte was a pretty dark day, and he kind of mentioned, and I was asking, does that still stick with you? And he didn't shy away from it. He said he asked everybody on the team from the last two Charlotte games to stand up, kind of brought up that game. They've had a countdown clock in the locker room to this game, and I don't think there's any chance at all ECU overlooks Charlotte. So obviously Charlotte's a big underdog. We know what's happened the last 2 years. Just what are you expecting on Saturday, and how important is it for ECU to maybe make another statement this weekend?
Yeah, from the outside looking in, you probably think it's a trap game because the Pirates have Memphis the following week, obviously top 25 team, but I don't think that at all. And it's because of the way the last two games have unraveled. And, 2 years ago, that one really hurt because, Biff Poggi and all the things that were going on with him and, the comments he made about Greenville and, just his attitude, and you felt like he was just so arrogant, and we had a chance to put it on him in our house, and they found a way to win 10-7. And that one really stung. That was a real low point, I thought, in Pirate football. In-state game for recruiting rights, and just an opportunity to stick it to him, and we come away with the loss. So that one was tough. Last year at Charlotte, I think we just got birdied. That kid was an unbelievable quarterback that nobody really knew about. It might have been his first start or second start or something, and he just came in and just dismantled the Pirates. I was actually, Marcus was being recruited by Charlotte at the time, so we were there as a Charlotte recruit on the road. And on the sidelines for a little while, and got to see that kid just throw the football around, and he was super impressive, and that's why he ended up going to Florida, and I think now he's at Wake Forest to playing quarterback. And so that one I'll give the Pirates a pass because sometimes you just come up against really, really good players and you don't have an answer for them, and that was one of those times. But 2 years ago really, really hurt. So I say all that to say there's no way they overlook them this year. They owe them big time. And I think that they're gonna attack this game as if it were Memphis, as if it were Tulane, as if it were Army, one of the top teams in the conference.
He is Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst. You can hear him on the call this weekend. Kevin, we appreciate the time. We'll see you in Dowdy Ficklin on Saturday.
Yep, appreciate it, Igo.
Absolutely great stuff from Kevin Monroe, as always. All right, we will get a break in. We'll come back. We will get the Charlotte perspective on the game. We'll talk with Hunter Bailey, who covers the 49ers for the Charlotte Observer, after these messages.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Arr, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
This is segment 3 here, 3 days out from ECU Charlotte homecoming on Saturday inside Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. It'll be a 3 o'clock kickoff on ESPN+. We talked ECU side of things with Kevin Monroe. Let's now get the Charlotte 49er perspective with Hunter Bailey. He covers the 49ers for the Charlotte Observer, also host of the Highway 49 podcast. Hunter, welcome into the show, man. And obviously a big game this Saturday. Anytime Charlotte and ECU meet these days in the American and any sport, it feels like a big deal. So how are things in Charlotte land just in terms of anticipation for this matchup after I know what's been a difficult season?
Yeah, man. First, good to talk to you. It's turned into an annual tradition now. But, yeah, man, this season, I kind of wish the matchup was a little bit earlier in the season, similar to last year, where it felt like it was a pretty big game for both teams. For you guys on the ECU side of things, it's a monster game as far as getting a win on this side of the rivalry. And then for Charlotte, it's, hey, can we play spoiler? Can we be the homecoming upset as nearly a 30-point underdog? So it's a little bit different than the years past, but two totally different games, going back to 2023, super low scoring, one-score game, and then 2024, just pretty high-scoring, high-octane games. So not 100% sure what to expect this weekend, man, but I do think Charlotte's struggles have been well documented across this season.
So when Charlotte hired Tim Albin, I mean, we were very complimentary of the hire on this show, and I thought, look, I mean, that's a great hire. Obviously, the only concern I had was he had mainly been at Ohio and obviously under Solich, so I didn't know how he would transition to Charlotte. But to his defense, like he started slow at Ohio and then won big. So just what has gone wrong, for the 49ers this year under his watch that's led to the 1-7 start?
Yeah, admittedly, I think the NIL side of things has been a big deal for Charlotte. They recently just fired athletic director Mike Hill and cited that, the lack thereof, as one of the reasons. So with Tim specifically, they've been dealing with a ton of injuries this year. They recently fired, or I guess reassigned, their head athletic trainer. And so they're down about 20 total guys probably for this matchup, and then 13 of those being out for the season. So it's been a lot of playing without a stacked deck. He's been missing his quarterback since the American Conference season opening game against Rice, with Connor Harrod going down with injury. But just top to bottom, Stephen, with this team, it's just not a very talented roster. They just don't have the type of guys that I'd say maybe a Biff Poggi-led team had in with some of these big Power 4, Power 5 drop-downs and some of those connections that Poggi had from Michigan, St. Francis, like DMV areas. So this team, a little less talented, and we haven't really seen a whole lot of consistency really from whether it be the players or the coaching staff, like Tim Albin himself. I really think he is the guy for the job. He's the most proven guy that they've had at Charlotte. He referenced his time at Ohio under Solich a while as an OC and then taking the reins, winning 10 games, 3 seasons in a row, getting a MAC conference, a couple Coach of the Year awards. So he's got the goods. He's got all the stuff that Charlotte's never had. And in my mind, they need to find a way to get him the resources, get him the adequate training staff, no more misdiagnosed injuries, no more struggles on that side of the house, clean that up, get the strength and conditioning where it needs to be to compete, not just early in the season, but to be able to withstand a 12 and hopefully 13 game schedule moving forward.
Riz with Hunter Bailey, who covers Charlotte for The Observer. And I was going to ask you, the AD situation, obviously he hires the Coach Albin and then, it gets let go. So I don't know, kind of uncharted waters there with him going in a different direction. But I guess he feels like he'll get a shot to really still build this program. Is that kind of to be determined, though?
Yeah, I mean, that's the firing of Mike Hill was just a very bizarre situation within itself. Like, they gave him an extension last season in the non-conference schedule. They were getting blown out by Gardner-Webb, an FCS team. They throw a third-string quarterback in the game because of injury. They come all the way back, win that game by a point pretty much on the last play. And then the very next day, Mike Hill is extended for 4 years through 2030. So at the time, I was like, okay, this extension is odd, just the timing of it. And then literally 13 months later, obviously a rough start under Albin. Chancellor Gaber pretty much says, okay, thank you, Mike Hill. Here's $2 million, adios. And so, yeah, I definitely think it puts pressure on Albin. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in his office when he found out. Because, allowing the AD to make the third football hire, firing them in the first half of the season, basically, is definitely uncharted waters. I'll take your words there. But for Albin himself, in the university release, the chancellor talked about how excited they were to have Albin and how they thanked Mike Hill for putting them on this trajectory under Tim Albin. So it sounds like there's some comfortability there. I think they'd be foolish if they were to fire him sub 2 years like they did Biff Poggi. I mean, as up and down as the Poggi era was, it felt premature to fire him at times then as well. Because that's the thing, man, is this is the proven guy. Will Healy was not proven. Biff Poggi was not proven at this level. They just came in as kind of those hopeful, like roll the dice hires. It worked out in the beginning for Healy. It worked out at times for Poggi. But Albin is the football coach that I think this school is needed, and the folks around him, I think, honestly need to do a better job if they're going to get where they want to go.
So looking at this year's Charlotte team, the offense at times has shown flashes, specifically when, Grayson Loftus has come in and played some quarterback. And I know they started the North Texas game really well. So when this offense is going well, Hunter, what do they do well, and what should the Pirates expect on Saturday?
Yeah, so Jaden Nicholas has kind of emerged as the biggest weapon in this offense. Caught a couple touchdowns, had a massive day, specifically in the first half of that North Texas game. He's going to be in the slot. They like to use him as a gadget guy. They'll get him involved, whether it's jet sweeps, just quick option routes. But him and Loftus have a really good connection, quarterback to receiver. And that first half of the North Texas game, in my opinion, was the best Loftus has looked. It didn't last. Obviously, the North Texas Mean Green kind of turned it on. The second half, they played a lot of man early in the game, and then switched to zone for the most part in the second half. And it was like Loftus had to work through his progression. The blitz started to pick up, and that just wasn't a good recipe for this offense. So at times, it's been pretty creative. Like I love some of the things they do. And then at other times, like the back half of that North Texas game, they run 21 plays after taking a 20-17 lead. 21 plays the rest of the game, and they get 26 total yards. So it's night and day. It's like when it starts snowballing downhill, they can't stop it. So that's why I think you've seen some of these super aggressive play calls from Alvin going for it on fourth down, running fake punts in his own territory, because he knows where they're at as an offense and as a team as they've got to steal possessions in some of these games. But back to the offense itself, the run game has struggled. They'll probably continue to feed a redshirt freshman Jerry O'Cobb and just try and find ways to get some of these young playmakers involved, man, because they do have a lot of young talent on this roster, and they're trying to figure out who fits where right now.
Defensively, Coach Harrell, who's obviously a former defensive coordinator here at ECU, he pointed to the linebackers, Reed Williford, Shea Taylor as two guys that stand out on tape to him. So, and I think Caden Schmitz as well. So, when you look at the defense, who has been playing well on that side of the ball for the 49ers?
Yeah, Coach Harrell hit the nail on the head. That's the strength probably of this whole team is the linebacker room. They've had a lot of struggles at cornerback, and it's just been really rough on the defensive line. So that group is being asked to do a lot, and whether that's just being a coach on the field, getting everybody lined up correctly, and then actually making the plays itself. Like, for example, Charlotte has little to no sack production from the edge this year, but most of their sack production comes from linebacker blitzes with Nate Fana as the defensive coordinator, kind of drawing those up, putting their guys in positions to make plays. Shea Taylor talked a little bit about that yesterday, but overall, man, like I said, they've lost a lot of the guys on the D-line. DJ Burgess was the best pass rusher. He is out for the season. So they're having to find ways to create and kind of manufacture pressure, but they haven't been able to hide it on the back end, as you can see with Drew Messmaker throwing for 608 yards and the Mean Green moving the ball for nearly 800 yards last week. So it's one of these things where they've been bend but don't break at times. They've been able to take the ball off teams more lately. But for the most part, I expect ECU to find a lot of success on the offensive side of the ball, and it's really just how do they convert in the red zone is how wide of a margin this game will be.
49ers, and you mentioned it, big spread, but it is kind of a rivalry game, early rivalry, I guess you could say, between ECU Charlotte that's still developing, but I'm sure the 49ers would love nothing more than to play spoiler here. So what is the formula? Is it, making those red zone stops? Is it converting the fourth downs they go for? What's the formula that allows the 49ers to hang in this game and maybe pull the upset?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to play perfect on the special team side of things and even steal a possession here or there, whether that's, returning a kick for a touchdown. I don't think they'll run any more fake punts. They ran 2 in a row. I can't imagine we'll see any more this Saturday. But like I say, they're going to have to execute on offense. They can't have these night and day halves where they look like a solid team. They're going to have to get ahead early in this game. Like the opening drives, the first drive script from Todd Fitch, the OC, it sounds kind of shallow, but that's what I'm waiting to see. Like how how are they going to attack this Pirates defense that's statistically the best in the conference, that's getting after the quarterback, that's stopping the run? What are they going to do to kind of serve as extensions of that run game with the screen game, RPO game? Like, how are they going to find ways to get Loftus A, comfortable in the game, and B, be effective? Because they're going to go as he goes in this game. I can't imagine they're going to continue to switch quarterbacks and put Wilkie back in, especially after how Loftus played this past week. So that's one side of the ball. They're going to, like I say, get creative, get Loftus comfortable early, find ways to extend the run game. And on defense, it's really what I said a minute ago, find ways to stop the bleeding. ECU is going to move the ball. They're going to put up yards, put up stats. Can you take the ball off of them? Can your defense stand tall in that low red area and find ways to, like I say, steal possessions and keep your offense on the field and keep that ECU offense on the sideline? So it's going to be a tall task. And if they play like they did in that first half of the North Texas game, I think it could be fun. But if they look anything like they look against Temple just a few weeks prior, this game is going to get out of hand early.
He is Hunter Bailey, covers Charlotte for The Observer. Also check out his work at the Highway 49 podcast at Hunter_Bailey45 on X. Hunter, we appreciate the time, man, and we'll see how Saturday turns out. Another rendition, the third of ECU Charlotte. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, fellas.
Absolutely. That's Hunter Bailey from the Charlotte Observer. We'll get our final break in. We'll come back. We will wrap up the show after this.
Hurry to Greenville Toyota for model year-end savings on a Camry. Just $229 a month. $229 a month. Or new RAV4, $279 a month. $279 a month. Only during our model year-end move-out. Right now at Greenville Toyota.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
It's Greenville Toyota's model year-end move-out. Save on a new Corolla, just $149 a month. $149 a month. Or new Tacoma, $249 a month. $249 a month. Now get a move on and save.
Pirates play here. This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo.
Yes! That was so good!
On 94.3, The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, final segment here on the show. I want to catch up on a few comments from YouTube before we wrap things up. Now, we had a question about Dwayne Harris, who's going into the Hall of Fame this weekend along with Shane Carter and Justin Hardy. He says, Robert says, didn't Dwayne have a passing, receiving, and rushing touchdown in one game at UTEP? And Bruce Willis wants to know how many passes did Dwayne Harris throw in his Pirate career? Does anyone have video? So, Dwayne Harris, I will echo Kevin Monroe's sentiments. Dwayne Harris is the most electric football player I have ever seen at East Carolina University. The dude could do it all. Return kicks, return punts, take a screen pass, the distance, carry the football, line up at Wildcat. I mean, he was by far my favorite player growing up, and still is. Just pure football player. Impossible to tackle. I swear he shedded a tackle every time he touched the ball. I looked up his stats during the break. Dwayne Harris for his career. And you got to remember, he played in the Skip Holtz offense for 3 of his 4 years, which ironically was coordinated by Todd Fitch, who is now the Charlotte offensive coordinator coming into the game this weekend. But was pretty run heavy, and Dwayne still managed to put up reception totals of 26, 58, and 83 of those 3 years. Then his first and only year in Lincoln Riley's offense had 101 catches for 1,123 yards. For his career, he had 268 catches, 3,001 yards, 20 touchdowns receiving. He had 86 yards rushing, or 86 attempts rushing, 526 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns on the ground. In the return game, he returned 3 kickoffs for touchdowns, averaging 23.3 yards per return. He averaged 9.4 yards per return. Sadly, never had a punt return for a touchdown, which is why ECU still hasn't returned a punt for a score since 2004. Passing the football, 4 for 9 in his career with 2 passing touchdowns. He was a high school quarterback, which is part of the reason ECU got him, because high school quarterback who transitioned to receiver. And Philip Pilkington, my question to you, I don't think you've ever watched Dwayne Harris highlights because he played at ECU from 2007 to 2010. But my homework assignment to you, I'm going to send you a Dwayne Harris highlight reel, and I need you to watch it, and I'll get your commentary on it tomorrow.
Damn, Michael, I thought I graduated and didn't have to do homework and take no more damn tests, but I guess I got a homework assignment.
You've got a homework assignment. It is an 8-minute video. Now, I will say the quality is not very great. You know how these old this video was uploaded to YouTube 14 years ago. So it gets compressed. So you may not even be able to tell anything, but I'm going to send you the link, and I want you to at least watch some of it.
All right, I will.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right, Dwayne Harris. Ruff used to call him 17, and I tell you what, man, he's still my favorite player to this day. Ryan wants me to post a link on Hoist the Colors. I will do that. So 17 going to the Hall this weekend. Well-deserved for sure. All right, we also had a comment from Kenny Curlin. Says, I like how Blake Harrell coaches. He's got that down-to-earth, everyday kind of man style like Coach Ruff. And then he's got the Steve Logan style. There's not a play that he's afraid to call at any time. And I think that's a good comp. I mean, I've said it feels – I wasn't covering the Steve Logan era, but I covered the Ruff era, and I will say the atmosphere feels a lot like Ruff. Like, relaxed, but like you can tell the players still really care. And the biggest thing is I feel like the players will run through a brick wall for Blake Harrell. And we've talked about it a lot, Philip, but I just think right now it's such a good fit for what ECU needs. And, looking back at the middle of last year to now is a pretty remarkable turnaround. 10-4 now as head coach. Pretty good.
Yeah, we're in an era, obviously, we got to acquire the right talent, and you do it in a different way. But you got to have guys who are bought in, and look, I would say I was fortunate enough to play for 2 really good high school coaches where we wanted to play for both of those guys, and we respected them as men and as human beings, not just as football coaches. And I think that's how they feel about Blake right now. And when you do that, it's so much easier when the going gets tough to band together because there's not any tension other than the fact that football isn't going the way you want it to go. But when there's other things, because you don't have a good relationship with the coach or there's just other stuff going on, it makes it even so much harder to reel back in the football side of things. And these young men, they like I said, they'll run through. Hell, I'd run through a ball for Blake Harrell.
I think I would too. I mean, it probably depends on how thick the wall is. I think if it's a brick wall, I might shy away. But if it's not too hard, I'll give it my best shot. Ben Byram says a nice change of pace is I'm completely confident with this ECU team to beat the weaker opponents in most of the conference. Been a while since it's been that way. Shout out Blake Carroll. I agree with that. And look, this is the game. Even if ECU didn't have the revenge factor that I think is going to play up this weekend, like ECU against every opponent, Phillip has taken care of business. Like even to me, Temple, while comparable, I think they were a weaker foe, and ECU kind of went in and just exerted this dominance. And now the next step will be taking the next step and beating a good Memphis team next week if they handle business this weekend. But I felt good going to the Temple game, and I feel pretty good going into this one for those reasons.
Yeah, I felt not as good as I did going this one, Temple. I just thought Temple had kind of figured it out, and it was just going to be really close. But I tell you, a few years ago, I would have not felt good at all going into Temple. Like I said, I didn't think we were going to beat them by 31. But to Ben's point, like so many years ago, you would have been like, dang, we're going to blow one of these, and this is probably going to be the one. And we just didn't feel like that going in. This, like I said, I thought it was going to be tight, but I still always had faith in the team to win the football game.
All right, we are out of time on this edition of Hoist the Colors. Tomorrow we will catch up with Macy O'Donnell. We'll have the former Pirate and sideline reporter on the ECU Sports Network join us. We will also have our in-depth breakdown of ECU Charlotte. So we will get into that and much more. 12 noon on Hoist the Colors Thursday. We'll see you then.